Well, hello, everyone, especially the haters that are tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about nursing homes. Yes, when Mrs. Spencer was so bored at home with all her latest stainless steel appliances and washer dryers and wanting to torment me, she went off to the nursing home to become an activity aide. Isn't that right, Arlene? But instead of helping the clients and the residents, she was too busy causing trouble for me. So as I was downstairs helping the administrator who was having mental health issues and doing IT, I came across reams of pages how these people were on 5, 6, 7, 8 medications. All of them. All of them. They weren't getting their TVs that their poor families were saving to have them get. They weren't getting their clothes. They weren't getting their things. These people were openly stealing from these people. Okay? Drugging them beyond, that they could do anything except lay in bed because that's what they like. Because then if you're not doing anything, they don't have to do anything for you. They don't have to take you out on the bus. They don't have to go shopping. You don't have to be involved in activities, even though Mrs. Spencer was the activity aide, weren't you, Mrs. Spencer? Trashing me and my family. Well, I'd like to ask you what it is you think you continue to do. Because Mrs. Spencer and her little gang of thugs went down to the police station with her demented children everywhere that are nurses and cops and COs and made up a bunch of shit about me. Because I actually had to go and say that the administrator was having mental health issues because it was so repugnant what was happening there with these poor people confined to the bed, and the CNAs weren't being trained because the staff was too busy laughing and joking about how funny it was during Katrina, no less, when poor people weren't being removed from these nursing homes because of the flooding and people were standing on the rooftops. This is what Mrs. Spencer was doing, telling everybody what a great mother she was, but she was bored at home. So she couldn't raise her own children, so she goes in to torment someone like me doing their job. This is why these women don't belong at work, because this is what they do to working women, because they'll tell everybody they don't have to work. Isn't that right, Mrs. Spencer? How many times did you tell me that you didn't have to work? So she gets together with these other people and her friends, the lawyers and the DA and the Judge Lorman, that comes in, brings all this filthy shit paperwork in that I never even saw, because I had to write an incident report and I had to write up because I couldn't stomach what was happening to these poor people. Why don't you check out the video of this poor woman in Buffalo pleading for her life, the way she's being treated in a nursing home? Okay, Mrs. Spencer, why don't you check that out, being you're so fucking bored at home? Because I had to actually make a stand and say something because women like her were out the door in a few minutes, weren't they? That's the kind of women that they hire, and then my career is trashed. Okay, well, they removed the administrator, which at one time she probably was decent, but she started to have mental health issues. I was doing IT and noticed for the health board that nothing was being put on the computer. Nothing was being done the way it was supposed to be, and it was a game. Well, they removed her, and guess what they did to me? Did they say, gee, Rhonda, you can keep your job? No, they fired me. And then they bring it all into my divorce and tell me why I can't have my assets, because when I worked at Mount Loretto Nursing Home, I got fired, and I'm not a career professional. So see, when you do the right thing around here, people like Mrs. Spencer trash your career. And then she brags how she threw her own mother-in-law on the street. Yes, Arlene, remember all the parties where you bragged to everybody how you threw your own mother-in-law on the street. This was a woman who raised a man that potentially was a journalist for ABC. So you keep hiding, Mrs. Spencer, and you keep sending these filthy people to trash my life and my family, and you can't hold a candle. You can't hold a candle to my grandmother and me and my mother, because this is what you've been doing with all your privileges and your fancy home and your fancy appliances and all your fancy stuff. This is what you did at your job, and then you couldn't even go home and be a decent mother.